اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم، بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم۔ ناظرین، میں ہوں آپ کا میزبان طاہر راؤ اور آپ کو ہائیڈ پارک میں خوش آمدید کہتا ہوں۔ ناظرین، جس وقت سے ٹرمپ ایڈمنسٹریشن نے چارج سنبھالا ہے امریکہ کی حکومت کا 19 فروری کو، اس کے بعد سے پوری دنیا میں ایک ہلچل مچی ہوئی ہے اور انہوں نے ایک بہت ریڈیکل چینجز وہ لے کے آئے ہیں ہر پالیسی میں، وہ امیگریشن کی پالیسی ہو، وہ اسٹوڈنٹ ویزا کی پالیسی ہو، وہ ورک ویزا کی پالیسی ہو، ٹریڈ بیریئرس، ورلڈ ٹریڈ کی جو ڈائنامکس پوری چینج ہوئی ہیں، فزیکل پالیسیز ہیں، انٹرنلی اینڈ ایکسٹرنلی انہوں کی بہت ساری پالیسیز وچ از economic policies, foreign policies, and immigration policies, all policies he is hitting hard on them. And of course, as an immigrant, I'm also immigrant here, and for any immigrant who wanted to come to USA, especially, and of course people wanted to come to any Western countries, not about the Western countries but the developed countries, they wanted to go and wanted to be part of that society to get education, knowledge, because they are the knowledge based societies. So still, of course, America is a land of opportunity. It's a dream for everyone from all over the world, whether people are coming from Middle East, from Asia, Europe, everywhere. So it is a hub for education. So a lot of universities are offering good scholarships here. Education is a top-notch, research based and futuristic looking. Technology, America is driving the world on the technology front also. So after that, this new government, Trump government, came in, so a lot of things changed in immigration also. So today in our studio we have Sara Sultan. She is academia and the academic advisor and educationist. We will talk about how Trump administration policies are impacting the immigration, student visas, and work visas here in Canada, in America, sorry. And how we can take it forward to how the people who wanted to come to USA, they should align themselves to get into USA in the changing situation and the policies. Sara, welcome to my show. Please, as I introduced you and the program team, please can you tell us how these policies are impacting and what is the best way forward for the people who wanted to come to USA?
Yes, thank you. So I help students come to US as a PhD researcher or a master's student, so that they can be in academia, and then they start their life from there. I can talk about like two things: how these policies are impacting research and science in general. There is one part, like funding part, and then there is the visa travel
Visa.
part. On the funding part, in the education sector, a lot of PhD students are funded through federal grants. They work on different projects that professors have, and that projects come through different federal organizations like Department of Energy, Department of Health, all of those, like Department of Transportation, etc. And with the new administration cutting down the funding at its neck, that means less projects, and that means less opportunities for students, for researchers, for science in general.
Okay.
So that means it will be really, really competitive to get into US on student visa, especially if you're looking for fellowships and scholarships. The other part is the travel and visa part.
Yes.
In my opinion, it was already really hard for students or for people who want to come to US. It was hard on a Pakistani passport, especially,
Yeah.
to show those country ties and all of that. But now it's even more hard. I can I can sort of try to compare what it looks like now versus what it was before. Um, in my perspective, because I worked with students a lot, and people, mostly students who also want to sponsor their families on visit visa. Some students want to sponsor their parents on a visit visa, or their spouse and kids on the F2 dependent visa. What happens is the major part of that is finances. So you used to be able to show strong financial stability,
Exactly.
whether you're a student or US worker, you have to have a good statement.
Mhm.
In addition to that, you had to have a offer letter, etc.
Mhm.
But the regulations were not as strict on the compliance part.
Mhm.
For example, if there were loopholes to get around, or you could make a case,
Mhm.
because at that time it was mostly for officers to figure out who is genuine and who is not. But
Exactly.
now it's not a question about who is genuine anymore. It's just a
Okay.
question who is from which country, who is
Oh,
of
okay.
which religion, you
Mhm.
know. So I think that these current administrative policies tell more about the priorities of US, like shifting towards um, more strict sanctions on people
Okay,
from
so there are a
countries such
couple of
as.
questions you talk about that, and I just want to more clarity on that one. Number one is you're saying that the funding part is because it is supported by federal government, it is hard. And one of them could be like Pakistani students who are getting a Fulbright scholarship. Is there any cut on that one also?
Yes, definitely. I have heard from a lot of Fulbright students who were already Fulbrighters, who were in US,
Hmm.
and there were problems that their stipends were not being disbursed
Okay.
after those policies.
So not
And
only
then
the new
not
students, but
only
the existing students, they are also facing.
existing students, yes, but then there is a lot of confusion. Let me tell you this. Today, I received an email from immigration officer at my university, and
Mhm.
in the email, what they wrote, I just couldn't understand, because it seems like people in the people who are immigration attorneys, or people who are in the international offices at universities, they're
Mhm.
also figuring out what's happening, what's
What's
going
going on?
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But problem with what you said about Fulbright is that there were a lot of different programs. It was just not just the Fulbright.
yeah, there's a lot
Um,
of programs.
yeah. So a lot of those programs, the future programs, have been cut.
So
But we don't know for sure.
how about other education, like not only the PhD, the research based, but like a lot of universities have their own scholarships there. So what about them? They are still offering that scholarships available, or they are also like drying up?
Those scholarships were either funded through alumni funds or universities' their own revenue.
Mhm.
But
They're not that.
my Yeah, but they were not that big of amount. Like, if you were applying to university and you are paying $50,000 a year in tuition fee, the
Yeah,
scholarship you would get would be like 5,000 or ten thousand
that's
dollars.
true. And this is for the existing students. They're already enrolled and but they are not asking, okay, we are giving you a scholarship and come from Pakistan. The new student, they're not going to offer. Okay, great.
Yes.
So the other thing is that you mentioned about the scholarship that's there, but immigration policy, getting the visa, because a lot of people, they also come for undergrad, also for masters, for business, or for medical, also like for USMLE and all that thing. So they are doing here. So what about these one? Is it these programs are also affected because they are not funded? People come from their own sources, and of course they work here part time, and they are get funded by their parents or their family. By they have a means to come. So what about them? Are they still in a problem, or they are good to go still?
I think there are a lot of mixed opinions. I will tell you what my opinion is, that might be biased because of the educational environment that I'm in.
Mhm.
Um, as I said, religion, if you at this time, um, within US is not that of a problem, but people who are not in the US and they're coming to US
Mhm.
from outside, there is just more scrutiny, more questions at the airport, at the immigration counter.
Mhm.
Um, my sources are that there are like videos going around with people telling that the student who went to Pakistan and they were coming back and they were questioned a lot, and some of them were deported. Then
Mhm.
there were people who are US citizens they cannot deport them, but they went through a lot of interrogation, like that's called something like secondary interrogation or something at the airport. And that essentially is like taking more data from them, asking them very personal questions like where do you live, what mosque do you go to. So it's just chaos, and nobody knows what comes next.
Okay, so the other thing, of course, you're saying that when you're applying for the visa, before that it was just only you are genuine, you have a means to support and everything. But right now there are other factors also. Are they official, or is it just like discretionary powers they are using? Just they are profiling? Are you saying
The
that they're profiling?
the very official thing is monitoring your social media, and this is something that lawmakers have repeatedly said in the news as well, that they are looking at what people posted on their social media, what they said, if they published a news article or something, and mainly if the opinion was against the US administration, or if it was against the allies, the against the war in Gaza or whatever was happening there, and like a lot of people are vocal about it. So they're going for that, citing that that is a security concern for the United States, and that is official. Like
Okay.
that's a main thing that anyone needs to be aware of.
Okay, so this is also like it's an official thing. Like they are more, they are using, like you're saying that is anyone is as a threat to their national security, USA. So whoever that person is, it's a immigrant, it's a PR, it's a student, it's a work visa, so they can question that person.
Yes,
So
definitely.
what is the best strategy? Of course, it's not gonna like people still wanted to come to US, is still a land of opportunity. So in that scenario, what is your advice to the people who wanted to come to USA? How they should adjust themselves in the new challenging environment if they wanted to come for the studies, for their work, and anything else?
My advice, first of all, is to be vigilant. Just be aware. Like, knowledge is power. You need to be aware of your own rights, and you need to be aware of the life that you will expect when you come here. You need to be aware of all those sanctions and laws and everything that can restrict you in many ways. And the other thing is assessing your goals, because now that you have that knowledge, you know what you can and cannot do. Does that really work for you? Is it worth it for you? Because in my perspective and in my personal experience, even though when there were not too many sanctions, we still had that fear, the looming on us, that if we leave the country for any reason, um, it's we are not entitled to come back even if we have visa. There are so many reasons that we need to be mindful of when we come back. So a lot of students, they especially for like my case, I had lost my visa and my passport, and I waited until I completed my PhD to go back to Pakistan and travel. And there are a lot of cases, a lot of people, they want to sponsor their families, or for whatever reason they don't want to lose their status, because there are like two things. One, you are in the US and you have a legal maintained status, and the second thing is a visa stamp.
Yes.
Sometimes that visa is expired, but you are in status, you don't want to travel. I don't think that happens in any other part of the world. If you have visa, if you have a status, you feel secure. But in US, there's always that fear. So you need to be aware of that when you're coming to US, that you might not be able to travel for next 4 years or 5 years. Are you okay with that? You might not be able to see your family for a long time. You might have to let go of your lot of opinions that you generally are vocal about, but you cannot say that on social media now. Are you okay with that? If you're okay with all of that and you manage to get in, yeah.
So how about what is your experience and what is your advice to the people who are already in USA and they are not citizen yet, but they are permanent resident, they are green card holder?
Um, I think stress and fear does not favor anybody.
Mhm.
I would say if you have everything by the book, you're good. Just don't pay a lot of attention to news. Sometimes when I'm like that. I wake up in the morning and first thing I do is scroll up my emails and check the feed. But sometimes if it's too stressful, just stay away from it. If everything around you is normal, it's high chance that things are normal. You don't need to be,
Mhm.
you know, be extra fearful or extra cautious about anything. But having said that, just don't do things that can put you on radar. Just
Mhm.
be mindful of things that you say and do on social media, the people that you interact with. Have a good community around you, have a good support system, and do self-care if you feel stressed, things
Mhm.
like that.
So how about like they should be also careful when crossing the border, the permanent residents, or they are good for the time being?
I think they should be careful a little bit, especially because if for this YouTube channel, the audience is people from Pakistan, there's a high chance that we have those emotions and we have said things on social media that can be a problem one way or another. So you might need to be careful because even if you delete that, it's still there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would still say while traveling, you need to practice extra caution. But
Okay.
like in my opinion, I feel like for anybody, especially for people who are in US where things are changing so much, you don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Have some backup. If you're financially secure and if for a while you're okay with relying on your family members or someone else, and it doesn't work for you to live here in so much stress, you might as well take a break and just disconnect yourself with all this drama.
Okay, great. Sara, thank you very much for providing the insight. So it's very helpful for everyone, whoever is immigrant here in or outside, they wanted to come to USA. So, and it's a pleasure to having you on my program. And we will continue talking on different topics. So thank you very much for your time again.
Of course.
नाज़रीन, ये था आज का हमारा हाइड पार्क और आज हमने सारा सुल्तान साहिबा से बात की जो एकेडमिक स्कॉलर हैं और मेंटोरशिप करती हैं, एजुकेशनिस्ट जो स्टूडेंट वीज़ा पे लोग आते हैं। तो हमारे प्रोग्राम को देखिएगा, लाइक कीजिएगा, दोस्तों के साथ शेयर कीजिएगा। अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।